know it's a little late for this live, and also I've been on a few other times today during live, so we'll see how many people decide to join in on this live. But either way, if it's a shorter live and we get through it without a lot of back and forth, at least this will be out there for everybody so you can see the information. I'm not sure how we'll do in the algorithm, but nonetheless, I'm gonna give it a shot here and see what happens. I want to go over XRP in a couple of different ways here, in a fashion that can allow everybody the best understanding of what is coming. If we want this to hold and play back up to $2.57 in the short term and the immediate term, it's very simple. We had to hold right now at like the 3.8. We have to hold this fib extension or this C wave correction, however you want to put it, but it's at right around $2.16, 17 cents. So we're drifting a little bit, but this can be considered a little bit of an overextension here, an overreach at the dip of a market close. So the fact that it's right at the market flip, we have to account for that volatility. So we'll see how this shakes out during this live. I tried to make it pretty simple in the description today, just so that it would be easy for everybody to understand. Why $2.17 is the key to unlock $2.57. And then I put why $66 to $70 is the key for silver, hitting $100 plus. And I'll explain why that is in both scenarios. I do want to take a heavy focus on XRP in this live for anybody who is interested in watching this. For anybody who takes the time out of their day to be in here, it's really appreciated. I appreciate everybody who sticks it out even when the days are red, because I believe most of the information comes in the red days, and including that, all of the opportunity comes when things are not looking, as favorable as we would like. So with that being said, good evening. 7:27 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Wednesday, January 7th, 2026. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So is this going to hold this area, and can we stop ourselves short from coming back down and testing 210, stopping us from retesting the descending wedge, or I guess you could put the descending wedge that we broke out of, or the falling wedge? Or can we do it base now and stop Bitcoin from going all the way to 88, because 88 to 90K was our expectation for the retest today, and it came down to 90,500. Now we're going to finish this whole thing and come down here? Or are we going to reverse now and go to that liquidity at 94K? Because that should be the next zone up for Bitcoin. Now we've left some liquidity at 94K. It's just a matter of, are we going to come down farther first and then try to make this reversal? So I'll read to everybody what it means, that 217 level, which right now is painfully under. It's painfully under right now. And hey guys, at dinner with family after snow trimming. Hey Poppy Lou, thank you for commenting despite being with your family and giving us a minute. It's more important things to do indeed, but thank you for being in town over 6+ months with the XP Predictor. I appreciate that. Enjoy your time with your family. Thank you so much for stopping in. How awesome is that? Mario, thanks for following for over 1 year now. It's an incredible accomplishment. You joined at a very interesting time indeed. Very interesting time indeed. XRP bag holder as well. Me too. I love XRP. I hold XRP myself. A fair amount. Damon, welcome in. Would it be better to fill the CME gap you told us about then up? That's a tricky question, my friend. Me personally, I'd rather go to 257 right now, and then the reason for that is also selfish, because I want it to fill out what could be perceived as a fourth or fifth wave in a minor 5-wave Elliott wave. So in a selfish way, I'd like it to go up into that area first and then come back down, because you'd have a clear path. My fear is if it comes down to $1.99.7 right now, I don't know what's going to stop it from going down to the falling wedge retest from that breakout. So if we're thinking it's going to go to $1.99.7, we might as well just let it happen down to $1.80 or so. Maybe extending all the way down to $1.69. So me personally, I want this to play out in the sense that we come up, we start to do this 5 waves, and then we start to transcend from there. Personally. This was my back test thesis. If it came all the way down and this was 210, that's why I think that area is so important if we do come down a little bit farther. You could even say that it's an overextension from hitting 217, and then if it pulled back up real quickly, it wouldn't technically invalidate it. But let me read this real quick. The best way to do it, I put it in writing on Facebook just so I could read it on here easier, and I can talk about silver as well. But so basically, I put it in the comments because Facebook does their stuff weird. Because after it goes so far, so buy the dip, market observation. XRP is in a healthy correction after hitting recent highs. Price is hovering, and now it's at 215. But when I wrote this, it was around 27. So a key spot for both retail and big bank traders. The technical breakdown. The fib support is testing the 382 level, 218.43. This is usually where the dip ends and the next rally starts. This is a wave C correction. We're finding a floor before the next leg up, and the oversold is 34.55 in the chart that I was talking about. Historically, this means selling is exhausted. Reversal could be coming. If we close the day above 217, which we did not, it closed it at like 216 and some change, I believe it was. We need to keep that structural sound. Otherwise, if we come down too low, we're going to invalidate this thesis, and it would push us up. And we'd be targeting, I think, 257, 258. Would have to get above that 240, which is that 238 to 242, which we failed to last time. And with the volatility, it's a textbook consolidation right now. But the problem is can we accumulate in this zone? Is there going to be enough demand here? Is it going to send us right down, not only to 210, but possibly even further? And then for silver, I might as well just read it since I'm here. So the Fibonacci, the 382 and 0.5 levels in 25, silver went parabolic after hitting. We created a liquidity gap between the $66 and $70 zone. That represents the 0.382 to 0.50 Fibonacci retracement cluster. The statistic is over 65% of parabolic runs that hold the 0.382 fib, which will be 69.80 on a weekly close, result in a continuation to new all-time highs. So coming back to 66 wouldn't be a crash. It's loading the spring by testing the previous breakout resistance and turning it into the new support. Momentum indicators, the RSI and volume. RSI exhaustion after hitting extreme overbought levels of 80 plus during the $83 surge. The RSI is currently resetting. Target entry we would be looking for would touch the 40-45 level simultaneously with and that's the RSI reading, with the price hitting somewhere around $66 for confluency. That would be a high probability for a reversal signal that institutions would use. And the forward outlook would be a $100 plus path if the 66 to 70 floor held. Assuming we come back down there in Q1, as long as that holds, you're looking for probably a push over $100. So Q1 26, the technical extensions project the following targets. Intermediate would be $85 previous of just above the hold high. And then major extension, $97.85 to 103 would be the psychological $100 milestone. So that's just a quick way of throwing it for silver, just talking about some of those psychological levels. However, one of the key fundamentals for this, we did not get a close over $2.17 for XRP. So now we put ourselves on shaky ground here. Now the next hour and a half is going to be pretty shaky. And we need to see at all costs if $2.10 gives way. Because if $2.10 gives way, it's a problem. That's when you start to open up. Well, now we got to go back to the gap area. We've got the fib extensions down. We know the CME gap from last Friday at $1.99.7, which is why I wanted to go there initially without breaking out first, but we did not. I'm getting rid of all this because I have it on another chart that'll make this easier. This was just as we were running through here. But now we have to actually honor this like this so that we can see what the heck is actually going on. So you have to know that. We have to know this. And that's why we need to see if this is an overstep right now. As the clock flipped, are we having an over-exhaustion phase, or is this coming back down and we went up too fast? This is all we're learning right now. Oh, it's important, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't think this part is important, this is probably the most important part. And the 4-hourly with the RSI is extremely oversold. And the stochastic, the stock RSI, which is good. That's a good thing if we're trying to get a hostile reversal. But we should be at the lowest of lows right now if we're going to get some kind of hostile reversal here in this market. Just like with gold and silver, I keep saying just watch this play out because we're putting in bearish signals, but it doesn't mean that it has to break down. It means that we've left some gaps on silver. It means gold is, kind of, it's come to a point right now where, yes, there's a lot of demand and all this, but we've come to a point where we're kind of caught in the middle right now. We're caught between a lot of different plays. So I think the best thing to do is wait. Wait for the confirmation in silver if you're not already in for the mining stocks. Because if silver goes down a few dollars in any of the days, it's going to end up going down in the miners. You could have a 10, 15, 20% down day if you get the wrong kind of catalyst. Like if we had a 4% down in any of the days coming up and we've just been moving sideways, the miners are going to panic. They're way overbought in the monthly, and pretty much all of them. So they would have a knee-jerk reaction. There's no doubt about it. So I just want to see their confirmation a little bit higher or get this gap filled where we're talking about where that fib down is. But it's odd because that fib down, you could play that as where for crypto and XRP in particular, that fib up, if we hit this support and we were to hold, that's the interesting part. They're kind of doing the opposite. Joseph Euler, thank you so much for the 6 months plus with the XRP predictor. And also gifting a sub. That was extremely generous. I really, really, really appreciate that so very much. I don't know anything, but I can't see silver getting to $66 or $60. Yeah, we'll see if it does or not. That's just where the retracement levels are. There's no guarantee that happens. That's just if in fact it is exhausting just a little bit. It would do that to cool off. Basically the same reason, too, why this could end up breaking itself back up. Just because of where we're at right now, it would make sense. It would definitely make sense. But yeah, only time will tell. Only time will tell. Nickel Trickin, thank you so much. Well, you got the gifted sub from Mr. Euler. Thank you, Joseph, for that. But yeah, thank you so much for that. And Nickel Trickin's now in Tom's Arm for the second month with the Dusty Dallas Crypto News. Unfortunately, YouTube is, YouTube is YouTube. My piece of content just got posted. So I debated whether or not to do this live because I had already done 2 different formats of lives. And I didn't know how many people would come back. And I didn't know if YouTube was going to push this out at all. So I'm thankful that some of you did come back, in fact. I'm very thankful, actually. 51 likes, too, with 68 people watching is pretty good. Pretty good. I'm going to try to put a post out myself just to see if it goes to anybody who didn't see it. But I didn't get any updates that I was going live. So that's the only reason that I'm doing it. See what happens. Good evening, Frankie Fresh. Shane. Sorry, that was Shane down here. Clink Dunbar, Shane, thank you so much for tuning in, friend. And being in town for 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. I greatly appreciate you as always. Mrs. Stott, thanks for being in town for 3+ months with the XRP Meteor, along with Maple Man and Mr. Stott. 2 Ravens, thanks for being in town for over 2 years with the XRP 589 Moon Badge. Big Dog, thanks for being in town for 6+ months with the XRP Predictor. Trading with J-Ride, what's going on, my brother? Thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 4 years with the XRP Phoenix Badge. CJ2 Pilot for over 2 years with the XRP 589 Moon Badge. What's going on, my friend? And good evening. Mario Damon, thanks for tuning in, as always. Mick Shoot, good evening, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So Badge. And along with Crazy Poll, Seed Lux says, what do you think about the U.S. government shutdown? Is it getting sorted before another shutdown? That's going to be a big, interesting thing that happens at the end of this month. Will we get a government shutdown? There is a high probability. But yeah, could we shuffling it out before then? Absolutely, we could be. We'll see. We'll see as this live goes on if XRP can find any footing or if it just keeps falling through. Right now, you could just say this was an exacerbated push down past 217 at the close. And if we can reverse now, you can open up the door to that possibility. But if we keep moving down, then 210 is the next support. Let's see. The Gatman, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 years with the XRP Diamond Hands Band. Says we need some volume. Good afternoon, everyone. Join the army. You can hit the like button. You bums. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for encouragement. We're encouraging people to hit the like button. I appreciate it. Trey runs wild. Welcome in. I love it. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, Nickel Tricken says, I really appreciate the gifted sub. I'm glad you appreciate it. That was Joseph Euler. What a kind soul that. Kind soul Mr. Euler is. He loves it. Tom, you're a showstopper. Join Tom's Army. I appreciate that, the Gap, man. Silver Days. Good evening, along with Jordan Junkie. Saying hit those like buttons from Silver Days. Don't let them down. George Athana's welcome and thanks for reading Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. The Captain, Crypto Plumber. Tom's Army for 6 months with the XRP Predictor. And our friend Dan Marginau in here. And Tom's Army for 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. And even Ayushan. And Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. I hustle harder than you. Thanks for the 99-cent super chat. How awesome is that? What are your thoughts on silver? I already talked about silver, but I can talk about it again. It's got signs of exhaustion. And I've talked about it for a couple days, how I really feel like we're going to get a drop back down into the $66 range. I believe the $77 range is a magnet. We talked about it as the run was going up to 83. We said it was fine then going up. But you might want to consider, and I'm not a financial advisor, so I could be completely wrong. This might not go down like I'm thinking. But I was telling people in the mining sector, if you were in it from the beginning, it would be a good time to get some profits out. We were up 300%, 400%, 500%. And I'm not saying you have to sell every. I'm just saying, make sure you pay yourself back. At the very least, when you're up 400% or 500%, you get your money back. Okay? At some point, you get your money back. And then when you feel like you're getting some kind of possible correction, or you feel exhaustion is in the air, you want to have a little bit of something to roll around with. My mind's being fucked right now. $77.75. I thought it was at $78.60, and it was up just now when we were reading through the fib stuff. Huh. Okay, let me read this back to the one who asked for silver, because I did write this out in a nice way on here, and it talks about the fib stuff. And if you guys want to see more of this, just go to my Facebook channel. It really is a very powerful tool if you like my content. The Fibonacci logic. So the 0.382 and 0.5 levels. And I put this out literally right before my live so that I would have it written down so that I could have a visual representation. I'm trying to be more visually representative as well, because we have a lot of hearing and visually impaired in my audience. So I'm trying to hit pulse sectors within my content. So basically in the 2025 years, when the 382 and 0.5 fib levels were hit, silver went parabolic, and it hit a historic high of 83.60 and came just short of that after, obviously, and then fell back and came back up, and it looks like could be a double top. But yeah, let's read this. When an asset moves that fast, it creates a liquidity gap, the $66 to $70 zone. This represents the 0.382 to 0.50 Fibonacci retracement cluster. The statistic: over 65% of parabolic runs that hold the 0.382 fib, that would be $69.80 on a weekly close, result in a continuation to new all-time highs. So the spring effect, coming back to $66 isn't a crash. It's loading the spring by testing the previous breakout resistance and turning it into some new support. Momentum indicators, RSI and volume, RSI exhaustion. After hitting extreme overbought levels 80 plus during the 83 surge, and we'll go to the silver chart in just a sec, so I can show you this. The RSI is currently resetting target entry. We are looking for the RSI to touch the 40 to 45 level simultaneously with the price hitting $66. This confluency is a high probability reversal signal used by institutional desks. The forward outlook would be the $100 path if the $66 to $70 support floor holds through Q1. It's only a couple, we're already into the second week after today, so tomorrow's the second week of January. You're talking if we can just make it through the first quarter or the first 2 or 3 months, and we probably won't even need to go that long. This will be a volatile correction in a quick way, I think, if it does this. But we're looking for that. The confluency is a high probability, so the $100 path if the $66 to $70 support floor holds through Q1 2026. The technical extensions project the following target. So the first target would be intermediate, which would be $85, which would be a previous high test over the resistance of the previous all-time highs. Then you would get into the target 2, which would be the major extension, which would be $97.85 to $103, and that would also achieve the psychological $100 milestone. So I think I think that's a good way to look at that, honestly. Yeah, the heart, honestly, on YouTube, and I don't want you guys to hurt your thumbs, doesn't do anything. It doesn't count in my favor. The only thing that counts for YouTube and the algorithm is the like button. It's not like TikTok. TikTok has the whole, you can hit the hearts a billion times. YouTube, it shows me that hearts are going across the screen. I wish it did more. So with silver, it's down 0.8% right now. It was just up, so, we'll see how this plays out. But we're definitely, we had a bearish reversal here earlier today. The daily time frame, it leaves some stuff to be desired. Like, it could be starting a reversal here. We can already see it. Top down, pull down. It could very well be starting a reversal here. I think it would be quick and swift if it does it. But the setup, I projected something like this morning. Now, obviously, I don't know because I didn't take the top wick because I was trying to give it less breathing room to give it more of an ability to break above quicker. So, but if that's the case, that $66 actually plays out. Remember when they said the $69, or it said $69 and some change was the perfect hit to hold? Look at it. Look how perfect that lines up with the support structure that this is building. So, I'm all for some things run in unison. So we'll see if this continues down or not. We're getting early warning signals and things like B2 Gold and Dolly Varden telling us that something wasn't right in the last couple of days. So it's definitely worth paying attention to. Because there's a lot of people that think it could only go up right now, and the harsh reality is there is that gap area filled. And for XRP, speaking of the opposite reaction, everybody thinks this is going to go down. According to the Fibonacci retracement, like I said, when this flip started and gold and silver, or when XRP started down, that can definitely be an over momentous bounce as the clock flips. I'm being dead serious with my audience. I don't see anything wrong with what's happening right now. This is what it's supposed to do. This is what it's supposed to do if we want to have some kind of reversal here. And simultaneously, if money's going to flow into risk, it would make a lot of sense. It would make a lot of sense for silver to pour down here. It would make a lot of sense to go into risk and have a couple days where commodities and mining stocks, even though we like them, it's okay to say they can go down. Just like oil stocks. Everybody wanted me to say it was going to go up the other day, and I said, listen, we stay the course, and you're going to watch a reversal. And all of a sudden, these are starting to reverse in a very nice way. Very nice way. Look at this top that was put in. It looks like we don't know yet. But this could be what we're looking for in the oil starting to reverse finally. We had Murphy's come down now 12% in the last several days. Well, actually, the last couple of weeks now, but just in the last couple of days, since Monday, we've had it drop down almost as much. So remember that hostile reversal on Monday after this Venezuela thing. Now it's down 10% since Monday. Northern Oil and Gas, it's had a huge reversal. Remember when we were tempted? We said we just can't do it. We can't buy it. I know it looks like it could break out, but I'm telling you, we got to stay the course. That was just back in December. Now it's down 21% from December, and now it's breaking down. That target would be $11. I hope it breaks down for a selfish reason, because I know we're getting ready for an oil explosion, and I want to do the same thing we did for commodities. Get ahead of the mining stocks. This next chapter for me is the oil stocks. We made a lot of money in mining stocks. I'm not saying I'm done with them, but what I'm saying is we made a lot of money in mining stocks, okay? And every great rise, you've got to take profits, and then you got to look for the next venture and continue the one you're in as well. You can't forget about your current venture. So we need to see currently. Blockchain backer said it was way overbought. I don't know what you mean. What's way overbought? His stock? I don't know. The love affair people have with them is overbought. I'm not sure what you're talking about. What did blockchain backer? Please grace my ears with our holy savior, the blockchain backer. that XRP was overbought? And from what perspective? Overbought on what perspective? I don't see an overbought. It's completely oversold in the 4-hourly like a son of a bitch. That RSI stochastic couldn't get any more oversold. Now, daily it was overbought today. The daily's overbought for sure. The weekly's rounding up. And the monthly's oversold like a son of a bitch. So, it must be in the daily. The overbought you're talking about, Chris, must be in the daily. Yep. Thank you, Chris. Thank you very much for that. Monthly, we're showing a reversal on XRP. We're trying to show a bottoming reversal. The weekly, we're rounding up. So it's a... And it was an engulfing to the... So we need to see if this candle, in fact... You'd be surprised, my friend. This would be one case because of what the blockchain backer said. I hope it goes to 257 and flies off this extension. There's no guarantee it will. Like I said, there's a descending wedge that we have to back test at $1.80, more than likely. And there's still the CME gap from Friday at $1.997. So I don't want to confirm nor deny what the blockchain backer is saying, but you know, he might be right just by virtue because of all these things that are left. A blind horse often finds water, you know, every so often. Whether he stumbles in and drowns or not is another question. And I don't know what saying that is, I just made it up, but I'm sure a blind horse will find water and stumble to it every so often. I also harder than you. You've been spot on with that, Fractal. I love it. Your information to me is very valuable. I don't care what anybody else says. To me, it's very valuable. But hey, you know, the only reason I don't personally care for the blockchain backer, but I appreciate it because people appreciate the blockchain backer. So if it gives you guys a little bit of solace and a little bit of happiness, who am I to judge? Everybody's got their own calling. The blockchain backer probably hates me. But he says, that guy's an idiot. Can he ever do anything besides pulling a chart out? Matter of fact, I can. I came on earlier today and didn't have any charts out in my live after my live, which, who knows, maybe we'll do a little live after the live again today as we try to wake our son up. He's not up yet, is he, Julie? Oh, he's shaking head? Good for him. Could you bring me another water, Julie? You drank almost all of mine.
I just opened.
Oh, thank you. Oh, you want to trade? Thank you. I love you. Look at the heat map. So many people short. Why wouldn't the exchanges pump this and rock everywhere? Oh, I know. And right now for Bitcoin, honestly, there's a pump up to 94K that could happen. It should fill that gap. The question is, were they going to pull Bitcoin all the way to 80,000 and some change? But it already filled the gap area. It's backtesting too, where we need to backtest. So there's a very strong case to be made that when everybody's looking down, I would, like I said, for this time and this time alone, I want XRP to pump up off this Fibonacci retracement. In fact, I went wrong and short both ways. Who uses the fib? Please watch the telepathy tapes. I think it will interest you. You'll see why. If you say so. If you say so. Look at this, though. Isn't XRP kind of doing what we talked about at the exact start of this live? I would love to get a little bit of help from our friends gold and silver going down so we can get some of this liquidity. But silver's a bitch. Silver wants to keep fighting. But we could really draw very beneficial. And I know the miners were down some today, so I should naturally be upset and want them to go up tomorrow. But I want to see everybody for a second get so caught up in crypto again where they forget what's going on and we go, oh my God, look at this. Now look, the 217 looks not bad, right? I look like an asshole to start. Excuse me. Nonverbal kids communicating with their parents. Oh, that's excellent. That's excellent. Hey, Who said that? You too. I'm on Julie's account right now with what I'm reading. Because it's my son's little tablet we get him so he can look at stuff. But I logged in it because she looks on Julie's account. On Juju Fish. That email, send me an email with that link if you wouldn't mind. You sold your paper silver cuz. Normally I wouldn't tell you to sell your silver. But paper silver is, and the iSilver Trust, or however you decide to do it, is a little different nowadays. Yes, that was news earlier we talked about with the charter bank. That's definitely something that is going to be breaking soon again. This target right now, may I ask curiously? I buy no matter what the price of silver is. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that, because then when you're buying them, let's just say you have a pullback day, like we had a couple weeks ago. What a beautiful time that is to be alive. How can I join your Telegram WhatsApp group? Can you share the link here, please? AU, you can get it yourself. I can't share it on there because people will steal our stuff. But all you got to go is my YouTube homepage and go to the membership tab, and it's built into every paid member of Tom's Army. So all you got to do is go on there and go to your perks. And then you'll go in here, and then down here there will be a Telegram link. And that's a permanent link, so it never expires. You need real physical silver. So you get to join. You're in Tom's Army, friend. Whether it's donated, gifted. I just appreciate if you're going to use our time and all of our stuff, that you continue to pay it forward. There's a lot of effort that goes into this, but hey, to each their own. So with the heat liquidity map, let's get into smaller ones. I mean, until you come down to $1.80, which makes a lot of sense because that's the falling wedge. Copper next for that silver breakout. What do you mean, crypto plumber? Copper buying copper until the next silver breakout, or copper and then next is the silver breakout? So when we look at this in the immediate short term, and we definitely have liquidity up over the top in the shorter time frame, some down below too. It's not really going to yield a lot of results here, is it? I suppose. Let's see. Down here at $1.80 is this only area, and that makes sense because that's where the broadening wedge. Oh yeah, copper's turn is coming. I agree with you 100%. I've been secretly digging through copper miners. The problem is though, to get to the copper, you basically got to find a company that's willing to go through because to get the silver, you're gonna have to get through copper, and I don't know if anybody knows the whole mining process. You can't just get the silver. You got to get through some other shit normally to get to it. Yeah, I knew you would understand, crypto plumber. It's one of the only physicals that hasn't ran like everyone else. Nope, absolutely. Yeah, it's a byproduct. Absolutely. See, you're a smart person. I love talking to this audience. I can't believe so many of you come back. I mean, I know it's 94 people, but considering that we've done like 2.5 hours of lives today already, or almost 3 hours between the two earlier, and you guys came back, is incredible. New moon, Chinese New Year, and Ring of Fire eclipse markets will go crazy, in my opinion, of course. And doesn't that speak to the fact that we could have a small rotational movement from the risk off to the risk on? Risk on loves taking the money from risk off. But I try to correlate. Sometimes the correlations might not be, they might not work. But generally they do. Yeah, all that liquidity, there's a lot of it gone, my friend. Tons of it gone. Bitcoin, you would have to look at it from a smaller context here. That's the problem with what we've done now. Now I got to look at it in the weeklies. Because now we've taken out this area. Now conventional logic would say we might come back up to this small area. If we hold, we would come right back up here. Now the problem is we still have this 88. Remember we talked about all the way down to 88 yesterday. And we've come down to the upper boundaries of it, but the question is do we come down and attack this? That is an excellent observation to ask Seymour. That is an excellent observation. And just by virtue of silver being a byproduct of the hunting for copper, basically, I mean, there's gonna be a stellar in the bunch if we could find the proper mining company that can also. Wow, it seems like now every time I was worried about $77 being a magnet. Remember what I was talking about on Monday when we were at 72 and trying to work our way back to 83? I said, let's see when we get back to 83 if 77 becomes a magnet and then overall just overtakes it all of a sudden. Because there's a lot of understanding that at $77, that's about as much room that these banks can allow the price to go up to. Now, by them allowing it to go to 83 twice, you probably wiped out a series of banks, and we don't even know about it yet. Silver gematria 77.85. Interesting. Very interesting. So selfishly, I'm looking for this to reverse. Remember when we first started, this was up. And I own precious metals, so I know people leave when I talk like this, but I'm just trying to be honest, like how we can get this rotational movement. And you want to see the unilateral, like starting to shift out of there and pushing into, like, look how much we can understand this together. I wish people were as fascinated as our core group is when it comes to trying to figure out all the logistics of this. I wish they were. I really wish they were, because it all makes sense. And we could get so far ahead with the kind of volatility there is in 2026 if we just get it together. And at least we got it together so early to start the year. So early. So early. I'm so blessed about that. I think this could be our transformational year as a community in multiple sectors, because now we all have a basic understanding after so long together. After all, I've been doing this since March 24th of 2021. I don't know, my hat kind of seems like I should probably put it on, huh? But if anybody's wondering, the triple X HA strategy is my strategy for 2026. That's XRP, XLM, HBAR, Algo, XDC, well, XRP, XLM, XDC, HBAR, Algo. I mean, platinum's all over the place. Now it ate up some of it. Look how volatile all this is. This is craziness. We'll see if all of this wants to end up taking the upward tug or not. Or taking the downward tug. Because we're going very volatile. Right now it's at 78 for silver. Super volatile right now. Tomer defined. Can you check what Ayushi is asking? Can someone show the link to Telegram? The link in bio doesn't work. I don't know why that is. Let me click on this link myself. I'm not sure why that is. Could be a YouTube thing now. Always a pain in the butt. And we'll have to work around this. How am I going to get this to you? Hey, will you send me an email? strutrugali@gmail.com. AAYU. Send me an email. I'll type it out one more time. strutrugali@gmail.com. I put this on Julie, so it says Juju Fish. Well, the link never expires. Have you ever been in the Telegram by chance? The only time people get that message is if they've been in there before and they delete it. And then they try to go back. Yeah, I don't know. That whole thing today also drops a hammer in it. It's kind of ironic that gold and silver started to come down after they started talking about that today. So I don't know what this further play is, especially with the seizure of the oil. I really don't. Because oil, I really feel like, are they trying to artificially drive all of this stuff down right now? It kind of feels that way to me. Just So the only thing we can really do right now is look for that opportunity. Like if they're gonna bring it down, just in case, you know, and we own precious metals, so hopefully it just averts disaster and goes up. But in the off chance that it does come down and fill some of these gaps, like as long as we have some money to the side too, to take advantage of a possible power play here, I'm okay with that too. I really am. So I'll look at my emails, and once I get one, I will share that information, I promise. Oh, Julie, Oberweis came. Yeah. I agree with you on it reversing, but BS like that rock the market. Could be them selling because they expect something to kick. I know, and that's what irritates me. You know, it's a double-edged sword here. It really is. But it could also instigate the market to actually have a good reaction. Now, if we see silver and gold and all these start going up real fast here, I mean, for a risk asset, I don't know what that's going to mean, because money, there's not enough money normally to find both assets. So preferably, I'd like to see a little transition into our risk assets. We can make more money right now in the immediate short term if it were to give it the proper bounce. 79.16. Yeah, so it's starting to make the push up here a little bit now for sure. We're definitely making a push right now. We'll see if we can get past this first resistance at about 80 bucks if it starts pushing up for sure. That'd be our first area of concern, would be about 80 bucks on silver. FYI. So it's gonna be hostile. For XRP, we really need to hold $2.17. And then I'm still looking at I really want to see XRP take a little move here. I'd really like to. I would. And it's not because I don't think we would come back down. It's because I would like to see it finish out this pattern to where we could push back up to 257 and then start if we want to exhaust the lower ranges. Because then we would properly do this. It would almost be something like this, what would have set up. You know? And it could create something like this. And now, whether it wants to come back here, and like we talked about earlier, do something like this, you know, just to come back down, maybe not that high. But if it wanted to do something more, well, maybe that high. Something like that to make like a double top. I don't know, like a head and shoulders topping reversal. Would it come all the way down first? It's another good question. But that's like the overreach I think it would take. But we obviously have a descending wedge. You know, we can look at that we broke out of in the immediate short term. But we have this pattern too if it stays above. There's so many different areas. But if we lose 217... now all of a sudden it opens up the door to a bit of a drop. It just opens up the door to a bit of a drop. 210, then possibly, you know, that $1.9970, and even worse. Even worse, that's why I have a big eye on the precious metals. Because if the precious metals can very easily steal our liquidity again. They've done it before and they'll do it again. And when they're running, I mean, it gets a little tricky for cryptocurrency, especially in a time of deep concern, let's call it. We're in a very weird moment in the world. So, this is the way I look at it. If silver breaks out here, we might as well just pack our bags for cryptocurrency for a little bit and just enjoy silver for a while. Because it's going to steal a hell of a lot of liquidity here if it does. There's going to be all eyes on silver. And then they don't like to lose money in all markets, so they would drop down our market by virtue, I would imagine. You can talk about whatever you want in the Telegram. There's so many different subsections of the Telegram. Yeah, everybody talks about everything. Yeah, you can do everything. You can really do it this way. There's so much stuff. I would encourage you, though, when you get into the Telegram, to go into Nick's and MQ's, which is Scotty Trades in here. Furby is Nick, since YouTube always changes names. Man, you can talk about whatever you want. As long as you guys are kind to each other, the conversation's great. We have a great active discussion. We really do. Let's see. We'll focus down here. But right now, XRP, we're bouncing. But right now, we're at about $2.17, which is right where we need to be for that support hold. So, anyhow, further, getting past just the immediate bounce, we know we've got liquidity on Bitcoin that could extend down to 88,000 if this doesn't pan out. And I would just tell you, keep looking at silver and gold too to get a little bit of direction. If a lot of money's pouring into silver tonight, into tomorrow morning, it's going to be a little choppy for risk assets. If for whatever reason silver or gold starts to trend down a little bit, okay, well maybe we can get a little bit of a decisive turn, and we can start to throw some of this money even deeper. What I'm hoping for is we get a push up to 220 for XRP, and you can start seeing the deciding shift here that people are willing to risk their money a little bit more than putting it into a safe haven. I love silver, but it becomes a safe haven. And when a lot of people are putting their money in a safe haven, they forget to put it in cryptocurrency for good reason. I know it probably doesn't make sense, but I think it makes sense. And today, $78.73 since the flip. 78 bucks, almost 79 bucks right now for silver per ounce. It's pretty impressive. Pretty damn impressive indeed. Same here, I don't feel bad at all buying silver. Even when it's topping. Oh, I don't. No, because you never know if it's even topping or not. It can blow right past this in 2 seconds with this, what's going on in the world. Never feel bad about buying silver or holding silver. Some people that get concerned because of the volatility in the miners, that's one thing I can understand that being a little more aggressive. But with silver, I've never sold any of my precious metals ever. Not a single thing that I've ever bought in gold and silver have I ever sold, or copper, anything. I never sell it. Nor do I ever intend on it. That's going to be my transformational wealth for the next generation in my family, which is my son, which is everybody who comes after me. Just like the Kennedys and all of them, we're going to be the sacrifice for the rest of the family. Every great movement in a family tree, you have to have that sacrificial generation that understood how to kind of move when we're about to have a big movement in a different direction. And I believe that's what me, you, and everybody else can be to the ones below us. Did we discuss Trump adding 50% to the top of the defense budget? Well, I heard that he wanted to raise it from something from 1 trillion to 1.5 trillion. Is that what you're referring to? I can imagine that might be what you're referring to. No, we haven't discussed that, but that we know that we could discuss that when we flip over to the other format. Because in a minute, I'm gonna flip over to where we can be where I don't have to have a chart in front of me. I want to try to do that when I can. Because my son is just waking up right now, we should have that opportunity. Let me just go make sure everything's going good. If you're interested in what I do and you want to pay it forward, you can always join Tom's Army. You can YouTube super chat. Oh, there's on the verticals, there's cool things because you can do stuff and it's interactive. It puts it on the screen, which actually is kind of enjoyable. I'm going to look at the heat map for IELTS Harder Than You, what he's using on Telegram. And all eyes on silver, gold, and crypto. What other things are there? For selfish reasons, I want to see a small correction in silver. It's purely selfish. It'll help our cryptocurrency. Money finds yield, and when people get nervous, imagine, this is the way I look at it. Imagine somebody invests in silver. Maybe it's paper silver. Maybe it's a mine, or maybe it's just the precious metal and they buy it and then all of a sudden it goes down. And then they're like, oh my God, what the hell am I doing? I bought in a safe haven and that's going down. I might as well just buy and risk assets. Then they throw all their money in crypto, help us form the next top. We're happy because we're already in. And then we buy more silver, or the miners, because they give us a gift when it goes down again. That's the way I look at it. That's why I selfishly like when we get those. Because right now everybody's expecting silver to go up. So when you get those unexpected down days, if we were going to have like another correction, and it's not even a correction, I don't look at it. I just feel it as gap hunting. This is just no different than a gap hunt. You know, it's like we're gap hunting. We just haven't been able to go down there again yet, so. I need to rewind because I'd like to know about Ondo and XCN. Sounds like relaxation is. Oh, just a quick. It's just something I had on here real quick before we get into the other. Yeah, I don't really talk about Ondo and XCN. Mrs. Stott, I used to, but I kind of had to stay on a straight and narrow path for myself just so I wouldn't overload on too many different tokens. I kind of had to keep it. That's why I have my strategy. I had to keep it more like refined. I was starting to get to a point where I was looking at too many things and I would miss stuff within my own patterns that I really, really needed to keep in front of me. Does anybody know what the silver futures is at right now? What did the silver's future price close at? The Colmex silver settles at 4.22% lower at 77.30. I don't think that's the futures price though. Oh no, you're fine. Don't worry about bringing it up. No. You didn't miss any of that. I see a gap on gold chart 4,333.50 and a few charts only. Is it even a gap? I mean, that's an area of interest for gold, actually. The number you mentioned. It brings you down into here, and that's the perfect retest of the uptrend. But, I mean, are we in some kind of rising triangle, or is this more of a rising wedge? In the short term, you know? And are we getting ready to just break out here? Because we are looking like we're in some kind of ascending pattern. However, we never came back down here to like 39.52 area. That's the area that I would be concerned about. That's the area that I'm really watching for gold. If we were to bust down this, now if we break out, you know, holy Toledo, and that's a possibility here too. It really is the holy Toledo moment. So. But with that being said, if anybody wants to stick around when I put this in the vertical format so we can kind of just talk for a minute, I am more than welcome to have you in. If not, if this is where we say our goodbyes, have a blessed evening. Remember to watch that $2.17 for XRP. We've got to hold that area so that we can extend out of here after an ABC correction. And then our target would be somewhere around $2.57, 58-cent-ish. We would really like to see gold and silver break down in this scenario so we can find some added liquidity. And I'm not talking about, oh my God, we're dropping 50%. I'm talking about stay sideways, maybe move up just 1% or 2%, but don't go unabated and steal our liquidity. We need our liquidity right now in a big way.